it's doing it.
And what is it doing?
It's invaded Ukraine.
And wasn't Ukraine expanding?
It's using its armies to invade and kill Christians.
It's actually using the people from the Donbass. The Donbass militia make up 90%.
Ukrainians are Orthodox Christians, the Russian are Orthodox Christians. Vladimir Putin is using the Christian army to kill Christians because he worships a state.
It's not Vladimir Putin, it's the Zionist empire that wants to expand.
There's no such thing as a Zionist
Stick it on the bob,
empire.
stick it on the bob, and switch it on. No, the fluffy.
There's no such thing as a
The
Zionist
British
empire.
Empire, right? I'm an historian, an alternative historian. Right? In 1815, after the Battle of Waterloo, Rothschild took control of the Bank of England. Right? We became the Zionist British Empire. And then in 1913, right? And in 19... Oh, what? So Rothschild never created the Federal Reserve in America. You know your stuff on the Bible, right? And I wouldn't question that. I know my stuff on history, right?
It's not your history that I'm questioning. It's not your facts I'm questioning. What I'm questioning is the narrative you're building around it.
The narratives that I'm building around them. Well, look, when you can print money, right, and you take it off the gold standard, there is no end to the money. All the inflation that we see in this country is coming from the money given to the Ukraine, given for COVID, the lockdowns.
Yeah, well, what's that got to do with Zionists?
Because they're the ones printing it, they're in control of it.
What's that got to do with Jews?
I'm not Jews, Zionists.
Okay, right.
There is a difference. The Jews belong
So everyone,
like Christians and like Muslims.
What you're saying is everyone who is in the banking system is a committed Zionist. Is that your argument? So why are you talking about a Zionist?
I was talking about the Federal Reserve.
What's that got to do with a Zionist?
Are you British? Because they took control. Rothschild said, but whatever King of England believes he controls the British Empire, right? The person who controls the British Empire controls the money, the purse strings, and I control the purse strings.
Yeah, I mean, that's a boast. That doesn't make it a fact.
It is a fact.
Of course it isn't a fact.
Of course it is a fact.
Because
we had unlimited money.
If the government elected by the people decided to liquidate the Rothschilds' grip on finance, it would be liquidated. It's just that we don't vote for that. So the power doesn't lay with the people who've got the money. The power lays with the people who've got the guns, control the guns. That's where real.
And that's why the East India Company hired the British Empire to take India out, right? And once they took India out, they started trading with the Chinese.
India didn't exist.
They started trading with the Chinese, and everybody wanted Chinese too. So the balance of books was tilted one way. The Chinese wanted nothing of us. So they started to get opium from Turkey, and they started giving the Afghans opium, right?
It's not going to go very far, to be honest.
They started giving, and then we created the opium wars against the Chinese. When in South Africa, diamonds and gold were discovered, where Rothschild and Cecil Rhodes were involved in the beers, it's the same everywhere.
Yes, governments fight for resources, governments fight for markets and economy. They've been doing that. They've been doing that.
It's led by the Rothschilds.
Immemorial.
Rothschild controlled the East India Company. Rothschild controlled the East India Company. Not true. You're in denial. You're in denial.
No, you're a conspiracist.
Of course I'm a conspiracist. I've been a conspiracist theory for ages, because that's what the BBC...
British society. Yeah, because rather than fight real enemies, you invent enemies.
So NATO moving eastward, put a ballistic missile threatening Russia is a conspiracy theory.
No, that's not a conspiracy theory.
Is that true?
Hold on one second. That doesn't justify Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
Oh, it does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
No, it doesn't.
When you don't know, when they want to take Ukraine,
you know the reason why Ukraine, Poland, all those countries wanted to move and align to the West is because Russia, unfortunately, is a mafia state whose economy is dysfunctional.
So Zionism isn't a mafia. They're the biggest mafia the world's ever seen.
Who are Zionists?
Zionists are Ashkenazi and Jews.
There you go, it's the Jews.
Well,
so you started off by saying it's not Jews, it's Zionists, but now you're saying it's Jews.
Oh, there we go.
You're a
They're not the real Jews of the Bible. They're not. If an African converts to Christianity, right? They're a Christian. They're a Christian. So the thing about the Ashkenazi Jews, right? I'll say that. They didn't really mean Jews. It's all been a game.
That's a ridiculous statement.
No, it isn't. They're not proper Jews. They're not proper Jews. They're secular. Based on the fact that Israel is the centre of the LGBT agenda throughout the whole of the Middle East. There's no Christian.
All you're demonstrating.
And you know you're Leviticus chapter 18.
All you're demonstrating is that Jews that don't follow Judaism are not real Jews.
And they're just happen to be Zionists.
But the thing
Do the real religious Jews do that?
there are real political issues that we need to deal with.
Can you tell the
Real
people,
political issues
as
we
a
need
Christian
to deal
expert, can you tell the people...
and this is not one of them.
Right. Can you
This
tell...
kind of conspiratorial nonsense is distracting us from the actual issues that we need to deal with in this country and abroad, such as Islamization. That's a real issue that we have to deal with.
Listen, the big problem in this country is the fact that we're not Christian. If we was all Christian, because I'm a nationalist, right, and we was having lots more children and didn't let the communists that was invented by Zionists, right, break our family units. Said that. Hold on, I'm talking now. 1848, Karl Marx's Communist Manifesto said break the family unit.
He also said destroy religion, and it was the opium of the people. And that included Judaism.
Can you tell the people here?
In Leninist Russia, Jewish rabbis were as persecuted as Christian priests.
Can you please tell the people here what the Old Testament says about Leviticus chapter 18?
Let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be clear, ladies and gentlemen.
We all know what Leviticus
Communists were not invented. Communism was not invented by Zionists.
No.
Communism was invented by people like
Jews.
Karl Marx.
Who was an Ashkenazi?
The fact that they have an ethnicity is completely irrelevant to their ideology.
Of course it is.
Their ideology had more to do with the Enlightenment and Hegelian dialectic than it had anything to do with Judaism. This kind of conspiracy pushed by nationalists is the kind of conspiracy that gives succor to Nazis and fascists.
In the Ukraine.
And it should be
National
opposed.
Socialists in the Ukraine.
It should be opposed.
Should we talk about the National Socialists in Ukraine?
Right. So all Ukrainian elites, all Ukrainian governments are all Jews, are they?
No,
thank you, they're not. Many of them are Orthodox Christians.
The Azov Regiment.
I know the Azov Regiment. Does that represent the entirety of the Ukrainian army? No, it doesn't.
You tell me
it's one regiment, it's one brigade within the Ukrainian army. So what you're trying to argue is that the whole of the Ukrainian army is a National Socialist army.
Did the Ukrainians?
Are they or not?
Did the Ukrainians?
Are they or not?
I'll say a big proportion of them are.
What's your evidence?
Well, what's your evidence that it isn't?
Right, here's my evidence that it isn't. Ukraine follows a classical liberal politics.
Banning the Orthodox Church.
Yes, which I condemn.
The Russian and the Ukrainian.
Which I condemn that as well.
Is that liberal, is it? That's liberalism.
I condemn that.
Yeah.
I condemn that. Classical England.
Why do they do it?
Classical England passed laws against the Roman Catholic Church. Exactly. So therefore, within a classical liberal worldview, you do see examples of discrimination against
the Russian Orthodox Church and
it's still illegal in this country for a Catholic to be monarch.
Torturing people.
Are you aware of that? Are you aware of that?
Are the Russian
Are you aware of that?
Are the Russian Orthodox Church torturing people to death like they did in the Roman Catholic Church back in the days in Hampshire?
So are you saying that in the 1800s, when laws were passed against Roman Catholics holding positions of influence, authority and power in the UK, that was somehow National Socialist? No, it wasn't. So in Ukraine,
you're making comparisons with Catholics being banned in this country to why the Ukrainians banned the Orthodox.
And what I'm demonstrating by that, if you would follow the argument, what I'm demonstrating is that classical liberals can and do discriminate against churches. It doesn't prove your argument that they persecute the Russian Orthodox Church, which I condemn.
Thank you.
But it doesn't prove that they're National Socialists.
Is that a
Point
good
that out.
comparison why the English banned the Catholic Church?
Yes.
What? When they tortured people.
No, in the 1800s they
No, in
didn't.
the 1600s, in the
That is
1700s.
not why they were banned in the 1800s. They were banned in the 1800s because in the terms of the liberal nationalist of the 1800s, to be English was to be Anglican. That's why you ended up with all the non-conformist churches.
So what percentage of the Ukrainian army is National Socialist?
A minority, not over 50.
I said they're a minority myself.
Right,
but
thank you.
A big proportion.
So what
proportion.
number do you want to give it?
Oh, 25%.
Based on what evidence?
Based on the evidence that they've been broken up and spread into
What
different...
evidence?
Based on the evidence they've been put in all different brigades and they've actually spread their ideology amongst their brethren in all the different brigades.
That's not evidence, that's a claim. What's your evidence for your claim?
I haven't got no evidence, like you
I
haven't got
no evidence.
But we know it's true.
I haven't got no evidence.
We know what happened in World War II.
Let's be clear.
We know what
None of
happened in
this
World War II.
justifies.
What happened in World War II?
None of this justifies your anti-Semitism.
No, it's not anti-Semitism.
It is anti-Semitism.
You cannot be an anti-Semite
Behind the word
if you're
Zionist,
talking about
he
people
means
that are
Jews.
European Jews. They're
Don't
not
be
biblical.
fooled by
We all know they're Jews. We know
Behind
they're
the word
Jews.
Zionist,
They are not
Zionists are
lies
Jews.
the idea of blaming ethnic Jews.
No.
This is anti-Semitism
Ashkenazi
of
Jews
the worst
are not
kind.
from the Bible. They are Jews. They are Jews that have come from Europe. They come from southern Ukraine.
They come from European. They come from Jewish stock. They are descendant of the Jewish nation. The fact that they had been, the fact that they have interbred with Europeans and now look like Europeans doesn't disguise the fact.
Jamie, can I interrupt for one second?
Yes.
Sorry. Good to see you, Bob. Jamie, just briefly. By the way, it's great to see you're debating this man here. Nick Cotton was hoping you might pop over and debate with him. Hold on. Why is that?
I'm not interested because the guy interrupted a talk and he assaulted me and then he complained like a snowflake. So I'm not interested in debating.
Well, I think you were the one that spoke about hate speech and all that stuff. Am I right? You accused him of harassing you.
I'm not interested in debating me. What's your point?
More importantly,
No, you asked me a question. I was just listening.
More
and then
importantly,
you brought me into this conversation.
as a Christian, you would believe in forgiveness. You know, Nick, you may be able to reconcile with him. Wouldn't that be a good thing? He's just there, 20 yards away.
I'm not interested in debating me.
What about reconciliation with him?
Right, we'll continue our conversation.
Can I just ask you one other thing? Last thing.
Right.
Can I just ask Jamie one other thing?
The real
Can I
problems
just
in
ask
our
him?
society
let me
are
just,
not Zionists.
let me ask you one other
The
thing.
real problems in our society are Islamists and their apologists.
Bob, let's have a quick. I want to ask you one
And
other
the
thing.
real problems in our society are people like this who distract us from the real problems.
Can I ask Bob one other question?
That's
Hello.
the real problems in our
And it's
society.
not about Nick, it's another question. You were at March for Life last week, right?
I was.
And, well, I've seen the footage, and I
I'm
know.
just going to say again, I'm not interested in debating me.
No, I want to talk about your actions. You were, hang on. This man, Nick, and well done for going on March for Life. I am a Catholic, and we abhor abortion. But if I'm not correct, hang on, correct. Hello, Jamie, Jamie, give it a second. If I'm correct me if I'm wrong, you were with a group of Calvin Robinson, and there were the anti-abortion crowd, I call it the pro-death crowd. They're usually, many of them are damaged women, and they're angry and they're guilty because of abortion. Correct me if I'm wrong, you were kind of engaged in a tit-for-tat shouting match with them.
Yep.
You actually said something like communist scum off our streets.
No, that was not me.
Well, you were leading the charge. What do you think? Well, what do you think about that? Well, tell me about it.
I wasn't.
Was it? Do you dissociate from that?
No. So let's be clear. It's right to oppose. So it's right to oppose ideological groups in our society that are harmful to us, such as nationalists who spread anti-Semitism.
Well, just hang on. Focus on the March for Life. Focus on March for Life.
Sharia law, such as feminists.